Morning. We're going to give it a couple more minutes just to get everybody in. Okay, to respect everyone's time, we'll get started. Um, Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to review what to look for in the Contractor's Certificate of Insurance, or COI. In the chat, we're going to try to upload a copy of the insurance checklist for construction projects. If we can't get it uploaded, we'll email it out to everybody after this session. By the end of the session, you'll know what to check before you approve a contractor's insurance on an HDOT construction project. This is not paperwork. Your signature is the state's proof that coverage was actually verified. COI review is a contract gate, not a formality. Under Section 108.03, no progress payment should go out until the COI and the tax and insurance rates are received and accepted. So your review literally controls whether the contractor gets paid. Under 107.01, insurance has to stay in force without a lapse until the state finally accepts the work. And every certificate has to promise 30 days written notice before anything is canceled or changed. Miss any of these, and you're exposing the state to risk. So, what are you confirming when you sign? 4 things. 1, the required coverages are present and meet the contract minimums. 2, the state is properly added as an additional insured, not just mentioned. 3, the dates and signatures are valid for the full contract term. And 4, you've documented your review on the insurance checklist. These are the 4 required coverages and their minimum limits under 107.01. General liability, $2 million per occurrence and aggregate, state as additional insured. Automobile liability, $1 million combined single limit, state added. Workers' comp, the HRS 386 statutory limit. Additional insured doesn't apply here. And builder's risk, full replacement value of the work, state added. One important note, that limit can be met with a single policy or a combination of primary and excess. Don't reject the stack just because it's split across policies. Every submittal gets logged on the checklist. You record the carrier, whether they are approved in Hawaii, the limit, whether the state is an additional insured, and whether the limit is okay. And then you sign and date each line. The signature line matters. It is the state's record that a qualified reviewer actually verified coverage, not just filed the certificate. The review itself is 4 steps, and we'll walk you through each one. Verify the basics. Confirm additional insured status. Check the primary and subrogation language and confirm flow down coverage for the subcontractors. They build on each other. And the last one, flow down, is the one that's missed most often during reviews. Step 1, the basics. Make sure the named insured matches the contractor's exact legal entity on the contract. Watch for joint ventures and affiliate names. Confirm the carrier is admitted in Hawaii, or if it's not admitted, that it carries an AM Best rating of A- or Class 7 or better. Check that the policy dates span the entire contract period with no gap before final acceptance. And if there is a self-insured retention, it has to be disclosed. An undisclosed retention gets treated as first dollar coverage. Step 2, this is where a lot of submittals fall apart. A certificate of insurance by itself is not proof of coverage. What you need is a signed endorsement that names the state of Hawaii, its officers and employees. A line in the certificate's notes box does not count. Confirm the person who signed had authority to bind the insurer and get written confirmation of that authority. Then read the limiting language. Phrases like only if the contract specifically requires can quietly strip out completed operations coverage. And make sure it covers both ongoing and completed operations if the contract asks for both. Step 3, primary and non-contributory and waiver of subrogation. The contractor's policy has to respond first. The state's insurance should only ever sit in excess, never share the loss. The subrogation waiver has to be clean. Here's a real-world trap. Some waivers only give up recovery against parties the contractor had a prior relationship with. That's the state. But the insurer can still go after, say, a member of the public involved in an incident. Picture a traffic control accident where the state approved the plan. A narrow waiver leaves that door open. And remember, waiver included written in the comments is not an endorsement. The actual endorsement has to be attached. Step 4. The contractor has to cover every subcontractor, including lower tiers. One of two ways. Option A, require each sub to carry the same coverages and limits with the state as additional insured. Option B, insure all of the sub's activities directly under the contractor's own policy. This is something that needs to be checked. If it's not documented, the state is exposed every time a sub steps on site. Confirm one of these paths is actually in writing. Don't assume it. All right, knowledge check. Put your answers in the chat. A certificate's notes say waiver of subrogation included. No endorsement is attached. A, approve the notes section is sufficient proof. B, return for revision. A signed endorsement must be attached and reviewed. C, approve, but flag it for the next renewal cycle. Go ahead and put your answers in the chat. All right. Step B, a note in the comments section confers nothing. The actual policy endorsement must be attached and reviewed before you can rely on the waiver. An endorsement can technically be present and still give you nothing because the addenda pile on so many exceptions that they constructively remove the coverage. Completed operations is the classic one. Coverage shouldn't end just because the state starts using part of the project, but the fine print often carves exactly that out. The lesson is simple. Don't stop at the front sheet and the comment that says waiver included. Only the endorsement, or open the endorsement and read what the exceptions actually do. Here's an example. Project is Waimea Canyon Drive, $28.4 million job. On paper, the package looks complete. There's general liability, auto, workers' comp, builder's risk, even environmental policy, all from a rated carrier. This is exactly the kind of submittal that's tempting just to stamp and move on. But a reviewer opened and read the endorsements. Here's what the review actually found. The blanket additional insured endorsement conditioned the state status on whether the contract specifically requires it. And our contract doesn't use that word. So the endorsement's own trigger language failed. It was unsigned, and it wasn't clear the signer even had authority to bind the insurer. The auto policy was missing bodily injury and property damage, and coverage gaps were being created through the addenda. Recommendation was clear: request revision and resubmittal. Same result on the revision. Signatures still needed dates, and we still needed written confirmation of the agent's authority. The point isn't the detail. It's that none of this shows up unless you read past the cover sheet. One thing that's easy to forget: this isn't a one-time gate. Both the COI and the tax and insurance rates renew annually for the life of the project. So you need to track the expiration dates and flag renewals before they lapse, because a lapse in coverage can trigger a work suspension, withheld payments, or termination for default. Put the expiration dates somewhere you'll actually see them coming, and you remember to ask the contractor to renew. And to close the loop on documentation, your review gets recorded on the insurance checklist and logged in ACC format. So there's a clear project record of what you verified and when. If it isn't written down from the state's perspective, it didn't happen. Sign, date, and log every submittal and every renewal. All right, knowledge check. The endorsement is missing something. What's your call? A, approve. Coverage otherwise looks complete. B, approve and request a signature at renewal. C, return for revision. Signature and authority must be confirmed first. All right, you guys are getting the main concept here. Any endorsement that's unsigned or if unclear authority must be corrected before approval. When in doubt, send it back. All right, quick recap. Accept the insurance when all 4 coverages meet the minimums. There's a signed additional insured endorsement naming the state with authority confirmed. Primary and non-contributory plus a clean subrogation waiver, flow down documented, and dates covering the full term. Send it back. When any endorsement is unsigned or authority is unclear, the additional insured or waiver language is conditional or narrowed, coverage is constructively removed by addenda, or there's any gap in dates. Biggest takeaway: when in doubt, request revisions. That's always a safer call. All right, so the one line to walk away with: You are the compliance gate. The certificate is information. Your verified signed checklist is what actually protects the state. Read the endorsements. Don't trust the cover sheet. When something's off, send it back. Any questions? Alrighty. Well, I hope this was informative. Well, this will all be put on the wiki site. And again, I will email out that checklist to make sure everybody's got a copy of it. And then, as usual, if you have any questions afterwards, please feel free to reach out. And again, if you have any topics you would like us to get training on, okay, go ahead. Is the acceptance still coming from the district office? Or are you saying it is approved by the resident engineer on a wall? I will have to get confirmation on that.
The COI has to go to the construction engineer for signature.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't miss this one up here. Previously, the certificate holder was not to include the Department of Transportation, as it could limit the coverage, as additionally insured statement would cover all the state of Hawaii. We will look into that. I'm not sure.
Leon, can I ask a question about earlier you're talking about the flow down to the subcontractors?
Yes.
Do you have an example of that? Because in the past, from what I recall, the insurance is only covering the general contractor, and I don't know about what his relationship about insurance is with his subcontractors. But since the contract is only with the general contractor, the main insurance would just be reviewed for what the general contractor's insurance coverages, how, as far as what the specs require.
I will confirm, but what I looked into, basically, all the subs have to have their own insurance as well. That's the cleanest.
Well, you would think so, but the thing is verifying something like that. Normally we haven't done that, the way the contract is written. Just looking at the generals.
I'll look for an example and I'll share it with you guys.
Thank you.
Hey, Leon, I have a question.
Sure.
Sorry, I was a bit muted doing something earlier, but did we cover what to do if the insurer is not licensed or have jurisdiction in the state of Hawaii? State of Hawaii? With the AM Best rating and all that?
Correct. You can go to the website and then type in their information. And if they've got an A- or the class 7, that's or better, that is acceptable.
So is that on the state engineers to look up, or is it on the contractor to provide that?
I mean, you can ask the contractor, but ultimately, to get it moving, you can look it up.
Okay.
But I would ask contractors to show that information. Did I get to all the chat questions? Sorry.
Francis Perez has a question in the chat.
So usually I've seen the COIs just with just the one. They can obviously have more than one COI, but I think a cleaner version would just want to show the state. Thank you, Justin. And then Cole put in a link for the checklist, and again, I'll follow up with just an email copy of it. All right. Any other questions? Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, I think the construction parcel owners, if they require indemnification, then it would be in the spec.
So an additional,
insurance. Yeah,
just an additional,
if that's required for use of their property for the
Sure.
construction.
and I think you could just get that issued as its own. You probably could put both holders in the notes, but have to see an example of that.
So I have a quick question. I primarily deal with permits for or like COIs for permit construction. We have seen where the coverage comes in and they have like a second umbrella policy to cover the gap. But what is the preferred way for them to specify that like umbrella policy? Because what we've seen a lot is they'll submit, say, like 1 million per occurrence on the, I think it's general aggregate, that like top line.
Mhm.
And then they'll say, oh, okay, the additional is covered by umbrella policy, but that's like all the information that we're getting. So I was just curious, how is that supposed to be represented on the COI so that we can make sure that that's done properly?
All right, I will look into that.
As in they don't have sufficient they're not meeting the limit for the general liability, let's say, or automobile liability, so they have an excess liability or an umbrella liability policy.
Yes.
Usually if you just put a note, I guess that does occur a lot of times. When we're checking the COIs. It doesn't.
So
Yeah.
what we've been doing is we've just been having them add a note stating that the excess coverage is covered by their umbrella and then list like the policy number in the notes. But I didn't know if that was sufficient or if there was another
There
way.
there is a on the I don't know, Leon, do you have a full COI? There is an excess liability box on the COI, yeah. So we usually check that for that, or umbrella
Okay,
excess,
yeah.
same thing.
Yeah, I'll try to see if we can have an example of that just for the umbrellas.
Yeah, that would be awesome for us.
Page 4, I guess. Yeah. So it's the third row, the umbrella excess liability. It has an X and then it has a value on it.
10 million.
Yeah. So no matter what, they're gonna have some sort of coverage.
Okay, nice. Thank you guys.
Yeah. So the question is, what is the COI requirement for emergency work contractors? I think there's no change unless, I mean, I don't know, but I think there wouldn't be any change. Is that correct? Does anybody know?
If I could take a guess, it's in the the insurance limits are in the standard specifications. So if I had to guess, if we have a contractor, there's a contract, and I'm gonna guess that that contract follows our specs.
I believe the emergency work contractors is separate from our construction contract. Normally be under procurement.
I'll look into it. Good questions. Anything else? Again, if you have more questions afterwards, please feel free to reach out. econ@qrc.com. All righty. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.